Well, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I know it's been a while. Tomas has had some real life things happen. I have had some real life things happen. We are in shows. Brigadoon is starting to really kick into another gear for me. I don't give a shit if this pay-per-view is in the obsolete abyss known as the Hardy Broken Universe. We're going to talk about AEW Revolution, whether you like it or not, Tomas.
And we're going to be talking about Dynasty 2, god damn it, and we're going to be talking about WrestleMania.
That's this weekend! That's this weekend!
Damn, we really missed the ball on this one. So, look forward to our Dynasty review in about 6 months. Oh, man.
Right.
Okay, but speaking of, since we're on the topic of AEW, I have never... I think this is a first for me. I have never seen a pay-per-view that is almost perfect in every which way, but then totally shits the bed with the main event. Not to the point where it affects the quality of the pay-per-view, but it's kind of like, I've been thinking about this long and hard. Zach, you ever go to Disneyland and you have the perfect day in Disneyland? You got to ride all your rides. All your favorite rides, the crowd's not that big, the lines aren't that long, the food was great, everything goes perfect. And I know the second part probably hasn't happened, but imagine you had the perfect day at Disneyland, and then you're walking back to your hotel, and you just shatter your ankle because you stepped wrong on a crack. That's what this pay-per-view felt like.
I'm not going to say that hasn't happened exactly like that, but the first time I went to Disneyland with Lindsay, she had a sprained ankle. And I had to push her around, but it's still
that goes with the territory because you always have to push her around. I have to push her around.
Yikes! Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I love you, Lindsay. But so this show, speaking of, this was in Lindsay's neck of the woods, close by at least, in Los Angeles, California. I am glad to see that they have recovered quite well from the wildfires that raved through Southern California at the beginning of 2025. I'm sure Tony Khan put in a hefty donation to help relieve the relieve the damages of the wildfires, if you will. Because
I think he did actually. But in the great words of Stone Cold Steve Austin, this pay-per-view was in Los Angeles. We are very familiar with the territory there, and
hell yeah, it's in Los Angeles, you dumb son of a bitch.
One of these days we got to make the trip for one of these pay-per-views. Since we're not going to WrestleMania, I am really missing live wrestling right now. I am going to the Go Home Raw to Monday Night Raw, which is in my neck of the woods, Sacramento, but I'm going to be sitting all the way in the tippy top because the cheapest tickets I can find are $100 for nosebleeds. God damn it, WWE.
Well,
God fucking damn it.
If rumors are to be believed, I'm hearing that Money in the Bank is going to be at the Intuit Dome this summer in Los Angeles. And I'm also hearing that Survivor Series at the end of the year is in San Diego. So that's
those are both confirmed.
That's like a 1-2 punch right there. As long as Money in the Bank is not on June 7th when I'm closing Brigadoon, I will be there. I will be there.
Definitely something to think about for sure.
I want to.
Let's get into this thing, AEW Revolution. With all AEW pay-per-views, I don't remember the last time I've actually been home for an AEW pay-per-view and watched it from start to finish.
Hold on. What arena was this in?
The Intuit Dome?
No, it was in the Staples Center. I was waiting for you to call it the Crypto.com Arena or whatever bullshit it is right now. No, it's not. It's the fucking...
I remember WrestleMania weekend. I remember WrestleMania
it's the fucking Staples Center.
The day after WrestleMania Night 2, and I was getting ready. That was my, day to my what do I want to call it? Just my gap day. And I remember going to the Superstore and I was standing right outside Crypto Arena and I saw The Miz.
It's a Staples Center.
Crypto Arena. And I'm glad I didn't go to that Monday Night Raw because that Monday Night Raw sucked dick.
Yeah, because Vince McMahon booked it, obviously. But so there's like a whole episode of Collision that happens known as the 0 hour before the pay-per-view because you have way too many matches on the pre-show. The only thing that's really worth noting, there's two things actually. Adam Cole is in an 8-man tag team match on this pre-show. My, how the mighty have fallen.
Right?
The TNT Championship is being treated like it's a prop now. Daniel Garcia, his feel-good win at Full Gear feels like it was a million years ago. And now
it really does. And I cannot remember the last time I saw this man on Dynamite. And I know what everyone's going to say. Oh, he's the TNT champion, so the Collision's on TNT, so it has to be a Collision exclusive title. Like that stopped AEW before. It's like they put the TNT title on this guy just to keep him from going to WWE, and that was a shitty decision. Because you look at guys like Lexus King, like Sean Spears, who just won the North American Championship, like fucking Ricky Saints. He's already a star over there.
Ethan Page.
Yeah. Look at all the other quote-unquote AEW castaways that have gone to NXT, and, you know, you could say, yeah, Ethan Page won the NXT title and then he already lost it, but he's in a very, very, very meaningful blood feud with Javon Evans right now. And you know what? Success isn't measured in titles. It's how you're booked on TV. And let me tell you, you know who Booker of the Year is? It's not Tony Khan, and believe it or not, it's not Triple H. It's Shawn Michaels.
Yep.
That man is working magic on NXT, and I wish Daniel Garcia would have jumped ship and, you know, experienced the same success.
Daniel Garcia probably would have been dethroning Obafemi at Stand and Deliver.
He could have been.
You know, but no, he chose incorrectly. You also have the Conglomeration has a tag team match against my boy John Morrison, along with the Maximum Male Models. I don't care. He will always be John Morrison. But the Conglomeration needed a tag team partner to even the odds, so they go with Big Boom AJ, the Costco guy.
Let me
Why not?
Fun fact with everybody, if you didn't see it, you know what was airing the same exact time as John Cena's heel turn? Big Boom AJ promoting this match on Collision. Somebody put a side-by-side comparison, the exact timestamp, the minute John Cena turned heel and kicked Cody Rhodes in the balls. Big Boom AJ was talking about how Johnny TV slapped a double chunk chocolate cookie out of his hand. I shit you not. You can't make this shit up, man.
Hey, Tomas, in the great words of Greg Morgan, I don't give a fuck about the chonka chonka chonk.
The chonka chonka chonk. Listen, we like to joke, but we talked about the last time Big Boom AJ wrestled. He's a decent worker. He's over.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, he knows what he's doing in the marketing department. And, you know, he was even teaching Tony Khan a thing or two about, like, advertising. And, you know, it's not a dumb decision to bring this guy in. It's actually very smart to bring in mainstream crowd, which is something AEW really needs. But it's just, what a world we live in, where Big Boom AJ is wrestling on AEW the same time John Cena is turning heel.
Yeah, and at the same time, both of Big Boom AJ's kids are coming out there, not with a chicken bake in their hands. No. Even though the chicken bakes are overrated.
I was going to say, I've never had the chicken bake, and I kind of want to try it now. God damn it, the Costco guys are working on me.
You know what? I'm going to say this. If I had to pick, if I was in the Rizzler situation, I would pick the double chomp chocolate cookie. That's better. That's better than the chicken bake.
But you know what? There's something I'm going to say, and it's going to contradict itself. I was curious, so I went on YouTube, and I watched a compilation of the Costco guys. They are one-trick ponies. Big Boom AJ, that's his whole shtick. The boom, the doom, chocolate chunk cookie. That's his only shtick. But you know what? I don't know why. They have millions of followers on
TikTok, gets over.
On X. I don't know what it is. I don't understand this generation, but at the same time, the things I was into when I was growing up, it's just pop culture, and it's never going to make sense. And you know what? These guys will probably fizzle off into obscurity in the next few years anyway. Like, look at the Hawk Tuah girl. She thought she was going to ride this wave of fame and make herself a millionaire, and now she has a shitty podcast.
I mean,
we're really getting off topic.
On TikTok, I mean, they're no Dustin Pointer. You know, the red flag, green flag guy who just reacts to things and just skips around with a big red flag and insults people. Like, it's,
I love that guy.
He's so funny. Like, he should show up on AEW for all I know.
The Costco guys are the type of guys that, if you got kids and they're like 10, 11, 12, that's what they're watching on TikTok. It's harmless, but it ain't for me. I also didn't watch the pre-show, so I don't know how this match went down.
It was your pretty basic match. Big Boom AJ defeats them. He's not a bad wrestler. You know, he's like 2006's Independent Wrestler of the Year per Pro Wrestling Illustrated. But
you got to remember, like, this dude used to be an independent pro wrestler, and this is his second match in 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right.
The fact that he can work is very impressive. The fact that this guy worked with a broken ankle is very respectable. the fact that every single AEW wrestler went on social media to say, this guy is cool. This guy is one of the boys. It's very admirable.
Mm-hmm.
It's very admirable.
Well, the pay-per-view itself, up until the main event, was super admirable. AEW Revolution 2025, a show that we attended 2 years ago in San Francisco, and it was so unforgettable. I love that.
And an MJF and an Iron Man match, man, that will always go down as one of my favorite matches I've seen live.
It was so much fun chanting for the Ice Cream Man during that match. But anyway, speaking of MJF, he actually opens his pay-per-view, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Oh my God. You know what? I don't care if this is TMI. I was rock hard for this match.
Yeah.
Maxwell Jacob Friedman versus Hangman Adam Page. Fuck yes. This is what I'm talking about, AEW. This is a fucking feud we want to see. And this has been one of my favorite things on TV. It is a good old-fashioned grudge match. These two fucking hate each other, and I know what you're going to say, Zach. You're not happy that Hangman Adam Page is a babyface now.
Well, not exactly. Not exactly. I mean, I feel like they absolutely, squandered every little bit and every opportunity they had of a badass, Arthur Morgan heel, like Hangman Adam Page, but now he is a babyface. He fought Christopher Daniels in a Texas death match, and he is so regretful of what he did to a legend that he forced him into retirement, that now he is respectful. He's a respectful cowboy doing cowboy shit. And MJF is... Go ahead.
You say Hangman Adam Page is not that Arthur Morgan heel. You know what he is, though? He's 1997 Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Stone Cold Steve Austin in 1997 was a cheating bastard. He cheated to win the Royal Rumble, and he went into that WrestleMania 13 match with Bret Hart as a heel. But he was so over, so lovable. Everybody loved the bad guy back in the day. You can thank Razor Ramon for setting that tone. And what happened at Mania 13? Austin turned face, Bret turned heel. Because Austin was so over that the WWE could not ignore that. And you know what? It's the same case here. Hangman Adam Page has been so over with this new character, with the crowd, those fucking sickos, cheering for a guy that burned down Swerve Strickland's house, but it was so apparent that it couldn't go unignored.
Put a syringe? Put a syringe in his mouth?
Yeah, exactly. Stapling pictures of his family to his chest. I'm glad that AEW recognized that, and they turned. I'm down. I'm down with this because it's an evolution in Hangman Page's character. And that's something we always talk about that a lot of people feel AEW lacks, and that's character development and character evolution. This was really, really cool to see. And, MJF, this may sound a little contradictory. I want to see the evolution of MJF's character, but the guy, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. MJF is a fantastic heel, and this feud has been really, really fun to watch. And this match was very fun to watch as well.
It was awesome. It was a great match.
Can we talk about, in the opening moments of the match, after they do their basic chain wrestling, MJF goes to the ropes while Hangman is seated up, and he hits him with his crotch. Full-on crotch bump to the face. And I'm like, I remember watching that and going, what the fuck? Just when you thought you'd seen it all in pro wrestling.
It's like he's Joey Ryan all of a sudden.
I wouldn't insult MJF like that.
Well, I mean, he's using his penis on offense. That's what Joey Ryan always did. So, with that said, these two, it's super impressive wrestling between both guys. Two of the best wrestlers in AEW. Two of the best homegrown AEW talent, if you will, even though both guys were, probably killing it in MLW, wherever they were before they started in AEW.
These are homegrown AEW talent because in the beginning, did Hangman Page have a run at ROH? Sure. But you know what? You wouldn't have known that unless you watched ROH. AEW is what put Hangman Adam Page on the map as sort of a mainstream star. I don't want to say a mainstream star, but he's visible now to the mainstream audience. Same with MJF. Unless you were watching MLW Fusion on YouTube or the various independent promotions he was a part of, I will tell you right now, I didn't know who the fuck MJF was when I saw Double or Nothing.
Me neither.
The only thing I thought was, holy shit, MJF just called out Bret Hart and made fun of him for getting attacked by a fan at the 2019 Hall of Fame. That's fucked up, but that's fucking hilarious at the same time because nobody has pushed the envelope like MJF.
Yeah, and he's not one of these crazy ex-WWE guys that Toni keeps bringing in, and they can't lace his goddamn boots. But
MJF
Page
doesn't hurt people though, or maybe he does.
Yeah, maybe he does. Maybe he does hurt people psychologically. Yeah. Hangman out of Page hits a Deadeye and a buckshot lariat. Can we talk about how if Hangman keeps hitting the Deadeye, he's probably gonna fuck up his knees? Like,
not more than the case that he keeps hitting the Deadeye. He's gonna fuck up someone's neck because that is a gnarly move.
It is. It is. I mean, it's not like Hangman Page is Hulk Hogan or anything where he does a leg drop and fucks up his hip, you know, because Hulk Hogan was a big guy.
But I mean, at the same time, Randy Orton kind of fucked up his back doing the RKO.
Yeah, no, that's very true. That's very true. I feel like I think that's another reason why the buckshot is Hangman's finisher, because it's a bit safer than the Deadeye, even though it looks so majestic when he does it. Hangman Page is one of my favorites on AEW, if not my favorite. He is the guy to me. The guy.
You're talking about two of my favorites right here in AEW, and it's really nice to see a homegrown AEW feud. It's just so refreshing, as crazy as that sounds.
Phenomenal selling of the left arm by Hangman Page as MJF goes for the salt of the earth armbar. Hangman Page reaches the ropes. MJF hits a tombstone on an opened up steel chair. Why do we have to keep killing the Undertaker's finisher, AEW? Like,
you know, I'm going to quote Stone Cold Steve Austin again. In 2015, a lot of people were messaging Austin, mentioning him on Twitter, saying, "Hey, Austin, are you mad that John Cena basically took your finisher, the springboard stunner?" Austin went on his podcast and said, "No, actually, I don't mind Cena using my finisher. What I do mind is it's not the finish."
Yeah.
So I feel like at the same time, you're killing the finisher by not making it a finisher.
It's a lot different. It's a lot different because Kevin Owens implemented the stunner as his finisher for a while. And Austin did not bat an eye at it.
For Stone Cold Steve Austin. But take this into account. You know when it was the first time I ever saw someone kick out of a tombstone pile driver? WrestleMania 25. WrestleMania 25 was the very first time that I can recall somebody kicked out of the tombstone pile driver. And you know what? It fucking meant something. Yeah. I remember watching that shit as a kid and going, holy fucking shit. Nobody kicks out of the tombstone.
And now everybody does. Now everybody does.
Memorable. And you know what? Fine. WWE's just as guilty as this too. So I'm going to call it out every time. This is why finishing moves are called finishers. Because guess what? They finished the match. Yeah.
But Hangman Page barely beats a 10 count. MJF is overly frustrated, which leads to a wonderful comeuppance finishing sequence for the babyface. Hangman hits one more Deadeye. He's not done yet. Then he hits Christopher Daniels' Angel's Wings finishing maneuver, which Hangman Page actually... Yeah.
MJF took a fucking gnarly bump to the face. He took it flat-faced, like Kurt Angle taking the pedigree in 2000 style.
Oh, yeah. How did he not have a concussion? How did he not remember the rest of this match?
It reminded me of Kurt Angle taking the pedigree, and it reminded me of, remember when Charlotte Flair took that face bump when we were at WrestleMania? And she was on fucking Mars?
I remember.
I'm surprised MJF wasn't on fucking Pluto after that.
Right. Yeah. It did not look good. But one more buckshot lariat for Hangman Page, and this motherfucker gets the pinfall win. Who would have thought? Who would have thought Hangman Page, like, this is how you book him? Like, that's how you book him to be a top guy. Just have him keep winning matches. Who would have thought it? Like, I don't remember the last time he's won a big match, like, probably since All Out. Like, because he lost to Jay White twice. He failed to win the world title at World's End. He keeps losing on TV. He beats Christopher Daniels, which was a foregone conclusion. Like, book him to win. It's not that hard. Book him to win.
How happy this match, this feud, and this finish made to me as an AEW fan. I'm just going, new matches, new rivalries, homegrown talent, babyface goes over. This match is the quintessential example of the direction AEW needs to go in. And
yes.
This is what I want to see more of. And then I think about the main event, and then I get fucking sad.
Mm-hmm. But regardless,
this match, 3.5 stars. This was a solid opener.
Dude, I'm going 4.25. I love
Damn.
this match. I really love this match. My only real problem with it is, again, they were killing the Tombstone dead. But other than that, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot of issues with it.
I was going to say, that's your only complaint?
Yeah.
Damn,
I mean,
what a good match.
there were a couple of points where false finishes were a bit telegraphed, like the count out for Hangman Page and MJF after the first buckshot lariat being so damn close to the bottom rope and Hangman Page hooking the near leg. Like, that was a bit too telegraphed for me. I would have liked a bit more drama, a bit more near falls, but other than that, really solid shit. Really solid shit.
You know what else I appreciated? No
What's that?
blood. Not every match needs fucking blood.
You hear that, Jon Moxley? Don't have to put a fucking spike in your back to
It's
up
called
ratings.
all elite wrestling, not all elite fucking slice yourself up.
Not all elite GCW, which Tony
Yeah.
Khan I'm sure would hate, but
Thank you. I was say I literally just go like that wasn't one of my more clever quips, but I
Yeah.
didn't get the point across.
yeah, yeah, I definitely got the point across. Okay, you ready to move on to the next one? Because I'm
take it away, buddy.
I'm ready to just like move past this fucking match and just go to the next one. But since Mercedes Moné always needs to have fucking 25 minutes to put on a great wrestling match, you know, even though this match is a fucking foregone conclusion, I guess we have to spend a bit on it. She's defending against Momo Watanabe, the TBS Championship. Momo Watanabe from Stardom, I believe.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know who Momo Watanabe is, even before,
You want to know the build for this match?
nothing!
Momo Watanabe won a tournament in Stardom where she was able to, the winner got to challenge for any championship of her choosing, whether it be Stardom or AEW, because there was AEW talent in this thing too, and she chose the TBS title. End of story. That's it. Hey, Zack, before this defense against Momo Watanabe, what was Mercedes Moné doing?
I don't fucking remember. I don't really
She was
care.
defending against Chris Statlander. And didn't we sit here and write out the most beautiful ending to that feud, which involved Chris Statlander coming out the next Dynamite and begging Moné for one more match, putting her career on the line, saying, I know I can beat you, and Chris Statlander is the one to dethrone her? No.
She's also not Christian Cage, so I mean it wouldn't be obvious for her to ask for one more match, but yeah.
But why would you go with the more compelling story when you can just go with, here's this wrestler from Japan, don't know her, too fucking bad, they're gonna have a match now. It's just, you can't do a little more. And I remember the build to this feud, it was just, she would show up in the audience in Dynamite, they would stare at each other, that's it.
Now,
we have our opinions about Mercedes Moné, but you know what I will never deny? She is a good pro wrestler.
She is! She is!
I will never deny that she is a good pro wrestler.
She is!
I've been watching past WrestleManias this week, and you know what? WrestleMania 32, fucking banger. Fucking banger. And Mercedes Moné is one of the reasons why that match is so iconic with Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. She is a good fucking wrestler.
Yeah, I'm also going to sit here and say that Russell Wilson's a good quarterback, but that doesn't make me respect him more. It's ego just way too out of control. Hopefully Russell Wilson finds some success on the New York Giants, which is a crazy sentence that I never thought I would say. But Momo Watanabe does lock in the crossface chicken wing at one point, which I marked out for because, you know, that's an old school Bob Backlund finisher. But
you gotta lock in the chicken wing, right, sister?
You gotta make Momo Watanabe great again! Oh boy. Okay, so you want to talk about AEW taking a step in the right direction, right? Yeah. We have gone on and on and on about how Mercedes Moné has been taking the spotlight away from the AEW Women's World Championship, even though she is the mid-card champion. Her going on first is totally fine by me. My issue is that the Women's World Title match, which is the ending to the greatest women's feud in AEW history, only gets 12 fucking minutes. And Mercedes Moné, in a foregone conclusion, has 20 minutes to work with. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, 18
that
to
is
be exact, but
absolutely ridiculous.
This is the definition of Tony Khan getting fucking hard for Japanese wrestling, and he just wanted to see this match because not only does he love Japanese wrestling, he wants to make Mercedes Moné as happy as possible because he's a little chicken shit, and he knows the minute she doesn't get her way, she's probably going to curse him out and storm out of the company. And Tony Khan's going to go, no, you're my golden goose. No, don't go back to WWE.
Well, I don't want her back in WWE. I don't care at this point.
Well,
she's
bad news, Zack. She already said in an interview, one day I will be back in WWE.
she's a parody of herself right now. She really is. Like,
aside from being a fantastic pro wrestler, I mean, again, all my best memories of Mercedes Moné is when she was Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
Mercedes Moné is the one wrestler in AEW that you can say, this is a WWE wrestler.
Yep.
Because you can say she has fantastic matches here, but she also had fantastic matches in WWE. Her versus Charlotte Flair is one of the best women's rivalries on the main roster. People go on account to say that her versus Bayley at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn is the greatest women's match of all time.
It is.
Would I go that far? It's up there.
It's one of them.
Favorites. Like, I could probably think of some others. What's one that comes to mind? Charlotte Flair and Natalya on NXT.
How about Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 39?
Hell yeah.
Yeah? Oh, I fucking love that match.
There's a difference between the best and my favorite. I will probably say Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley was my favorite.
Yeah.
But the best women's match of all time, it's up for debate. But there are people that say that Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Brooklyn is the greatest women's wrestling match of all time. So you can't sit here and say, oh, she's a lot better off in AEW. And it's perspective for sure. But, I think the point we're trying to make is that it does not matter what star power Mercedes Moné has. If they want her to have the star power, I hate to put this in the universe, Zack, then they need to put the world title on her, not the TBS title.
That's what's going to happen, unless they don't put it on a female Brock Lesnar at Dynasty, like I think they're probably going to.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, right now, like since this pay-per-view is obsolete, we can talk about this. Right now, if AEW is smart, Mercedes Moné drops the fucking title to Athena. Because Athena, you want to talk about over wrestlers, Athena is the most dominant ROH women's champion of all time. The best way to transition her out of that title reign is to put the TBS title on her. And if you want the TBS title to be prestigious, this is how you do it. Because you know what? Whether you like it or not, Mercedes Moné is a dominant TBS champion. That's why you have her drop the title to someone equally as dominant. And as a wrestler, honestly, I like Athena more. Yeah, I said it.
I do too.
I thought Ember Moon was extremely underutilized in WWE.
You don't say.
You don't say. The craziest fucking finisher I've seen in my life. And you're not going to do anything with her? The most she ever did was challenge Bayley for the women's title at SummerSlam. She's one of those. I'm good on her. Good on her for leaving WWE, and she is finding so much success. She is the only relevant thing in Ring of Honor. So this is what you do with her.
Is it bad that I forgot that match with Bayley happened?
Exactly my point. But that was the height of her WWE run.
Good God. But this match, in a vacuum, probably good wrestling. It's 3 stars, but again, it just annoys the fuck out of me that they have to give Mercedes Moné all this time in matches that are so fucking predictable.
I think that's the solution right there. If you want Mercedes Moné to be this big, huge over-star, take that with a grain of salt, you put the world title on her. You don't do the TBS title. Like, you want to compare the TBS title to like the Intercontinental title, the United States title, like the workhorse title, and that can make that. We've always said the Intercontinental title needs to be a stepping stone to the world title, and history shows that. Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, The Rock, all of those guys I just mentioned won the Intercontinental title before the WWE title.
Mm-hmm.
Be over stars in the making. Like, look at our current champion, Braun Breaker. After he drops the Intercontinental title, fuck yes, I want to see him win the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, have him, I'll do you one better. I'm good at predicting weird shit, and Tomas will tell you that. After Jey Uso wins the title at WrestleMania, have Braun Breaker be the guy to dethrone Jey.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Because there's a very good chance Braun Breaker is going to drop that Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. Look at our current champion, Gunther. What was he before the World Heavyweight Champion? He was the
IC champion.
Longest reigning Intercontinental champion of all time. So if they want to do that, if they want to make the TBS title their Intercontinental title, or like the International title their Intercontinental title, that's what you do. But we're starting to get into that that area where it's like the TBS Championship shouldn't have more attention than the World Championship. Because Could you imagine, like, nothing against these wrestlers, but if like Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn main evented a pay-per-view over the World Championship?
That'd be ridiculous.
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be ridiculous.
You would just put the world title on Braun Breaker and have Sami Zayn feud with them there.
Yeah.
It would be even more ludicrous if, like, LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura took precedent over John Cena and Cody Rhodes. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
So why should it make sense here?
It doesn't. It really doesn't. The mid-card titles should be your stepping stone to the world title. You should not make them equally prestigious. There's a reason why there's levels to wrestling. You know? Like, in regular business, you know, you don't, like, have the CEO and an associate be, like, you know, equal. And that was no pun intended. Like, the CEO, you have to climb the ladder to get up to the CEO.
Yeah. Imagine if the assistant manager got paid more than the actual manager. Then why the fuck would you want to be the actual manager?
Correct. So, that's our issue with this.
Yeah.
But okay, you want to talk about climbing the ladder? You want to talk about contenders, Tomas?
Yes, I do. I want to talk about a complete fucking 180 of what I thought of this a few months ago. It's Swerve Strickland taking on bad guy Ricochet.
Hey, Tomas.
Oh God.
I'm winning, baby! I'm winning, baby!
How the fuck did Ricochet go from being a total fucking dork to being one of the best goddamn heels in the business?
I love him. This guy, I knew that something needed to change with Ricochet. He could not come in here as Ricochet from like 5 years ago. Because a babyface Ricochet, like flipping over the top rope and landing feet first to come face to face with the Velveteen Dream, that was awesome. But Ricochet, when you put a mic in his hands, when he's a good guy, it's not really that compelling.
I think it was, oh my God, I think he was in the ring cutting a promo against either MVP or Randy Orton in WWE. Or no, it was AJ Styles. Because Ricochet gets on the mic and he goes, I'm not here to talk. And he immediately gets cut off. And then the guy says, well, then shut up. I'm like, oh, God damn, you buried him.
Well,
and here's the other thing about Ricochet. Ricochet in WWE? Absolutely. You know why? There's nobody else like Ricochet in WWE. Ricochet in AEW? I can name 15 to 20 Ricochets in AEW.
Yeah.
So what was he going to do to make himself stand out? This is what he did.
Turn heel.
He, took a goddamn pair of scissors and stabbed the fuck out of Swerve Strickland. Something straight out of a horror movie.
It's like Jordan Peele directed it or something.
Exactly. So when Ricochet really turned up the dial and started being this evil piece of shit, did his mic skills improve? No, he didn't actually. I think Ricochet needs a mouthpiece. But the storytelling was really good. Like the promo he did with Prince Nana after he stole Prince Nana's jacket, where Nana was like, you don't deserve that. You did not earn that. Give me my jacket back. And Ricochet gets up in his face and said, you want the jacket? Then take it. And Prince Nana was terrified.
Yeah.
Because he knows what Ricochet is capable of.
Well, and also because Prince Nana is not a wrestler. And Ricochet would have fucked his shit up.
Yeah.
And Prince Nana's been a manager since, 2002? And he hasn't
Prince Nana has found the fountain of youth. Because this man does not age.
No, he doesn't.
I remember Prince Nana managing the original embassy in Ring of Honor. That's how long this man has been in the business.
Crazy, crazy shit, man. This is actually one of the better feuds coming into Revolution. Swerve and Ricochet were putting some really banger segments together. And I'm sure both guys had wanted to work together for a while ever since Ricochet jumped ship.
And this is the #1 contenders match for the AEW World title.
It sure is. The winner is facing Jon Moxley this weekend at Dynasty. Spoiler fucking alert. I mean, this pay-per-view is obsolete, so I might as well say the match.
And you know what? This match was kind of a foregone conclusion for two reasons. Number one, Swerve Strickland got squashed by Lashley, and spoiler alert, they never went back to that. And two, the past Wednesday, the Dynamite leading up to this show, Ricochet pinned Swerve Strickland in a tag match. So what the fuck did you think was going to happen?
I'll get into my issue with that later, but
yeah.
You also have AEW spots actress Leslie Jones of SNL fame sitting in the second row having a fucking shouting match with Trevor in the ring, and Ricochet is just having so much fun with her. Like,
It was so crazy. I love that so much that I wasn't paying attention when it first happened. I looked out, and when they panned the camera to her, I go, is that Swerve Strickland's mom? Because she's really fucking going for Swerve Strickland. And then when they revealed it was her, I was like, holy shit, that is awesome.
It's Shelton Benjamin's mama, actually.
Oh, we would have heard her a lot more clearly.
Come on, Shelton! Don't make me get the whip!
Don't make me take off my belt! That's how you motivate Benjamin.
That's how you do it.
Don't worry, we'll be talking about Mr. Benjamin soon enough.
Oh, man. These guys have really good fucking wrestling chemistry, don't they? Ricochet hits that 630 senton, I think, is still one of the best, like, high-flying finishers in the business. Like, it doesn't matter, like, how many Phoenix splashes you get. Doesn't matter if Will Ospreay does the spiral tap. It's still so goddamn impressive to see Ricochet hit that move.
Absolutely, because I don't think there's another wrestler out there that can do that. Not as smooth as Ricochet does. I remember there was a point in WWE where he stopped doing the 630, and the most impressive thing he was doing was, like, a shooting star press and a springboard moonsault. I'm like, I don't think you guys realize what Ricochet is capable of. No. But then again, at the same time, I'll never forget the interview Chris Jericho did with the Young Bucks, and they brought up Pac when he was at WWE, and the Bucks said, you know what? Pac isn't even using like 75% of his arsenal in WWE, but you know what? They probably told him that because they don't want him to injure himself. And I'm sure the same went with Ricochet in WWE. It's like, that's some awesome stuff you're doing. You're going to fuck your shit up as much as you're wrestling. So why don't you keep it to like a shooting star press?
Yeah. But on the contrary, you also have someone like Swerve Strickland, who was a bona fide cruiserweight in WWE, wasn't really going to get anywhere. Somebody who massively benefited from jumping ship to AEW was Swerve Strickland, because I will say it again until the cows come home. This guy has Roman Reigns aura.
And you know what? After over a year of you saying that, I agree.
Just how he looks at the crowd. Like, it's right out of the Roman Reigns playbook. I'm not saying that Swerve is a Roman Reigns copycat or anything, but when I say that Swerve has Roman Reigns aura, that is a massive compliment. And I don't mean to say that as a comparison.
I will go into why I agree with you at the end of the match, because there was something that happened after the match that I was like, God damn it, he was right. He does.
So, a big storyline coming into this was mounting friction between Swerve and Prince Nana. There was a point early on in this match where Swerve accidentally shoves Nana to the canvas, and Nana has had enough. Nana's not ejected from the match by the referee. Nana voluntarily walks to the back, flips the big bird at Swerve, and we don't see him again until the closing moments.
Which I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of a pet peeve I had with this match in this feud, because people have been talking about it, and I just was like, unless he's gonna join forces with Ricochet and be his mouthpiece, I don't see a reason to split up Prince Nana and wow, I almost called him by his WWE name because that's what we were talking about.
Isaiah Swerve Scott.
I almost said Isaiah Swerve Scott. I don't see a reason to split up Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana. It's like they're a good act together. And you know what? I know one of the reasons why I agree with you. Yes, Nana and Swerve Strickland, they are a lot like Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you split up Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns? Why would you split these two up?
Well, because CM Punk is going to cash in a favor at WrestleMania. That's why you split up Roman and Paulie. But anyway, Prince Nana eventually does make his way back out to ringside, and he sneakily tries to steal back the robe that Ricochet had stolen from him. And these guys get into a tug of war about it. Ricochet's a bit distracted by not just him. Dr. Ken Jong is also at ringside, and Ricochet is yelling at him. Swerve Strickland makes a big comeback, hits not one but two house call kicks, then a big pressure for the 1, 2, 3, and he is the number one contender. Please put the world title back on this man. I am begging you, Tony.
Go into why I agree with that. Also, those house call kicks, there's a reason why Swerve Strickland's name was Killshot in Lucha Underground.
Yes.
Because those fucking kicks to the head, god damn.
They're loud. They are loud as loud gets.
Damn, that dude. Swerve Strickland is stiff as fuck. I don't think he gets enough credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I
fantastic.
1000% agree with you. Swerve Strickland is still as over as he was a year ago as he is now. And that's what you hope for in a star. You don't want them to fizzle out. You don't want them to be a fad. You want them to remain as over and as successful as they are. And that's what I want to. I want Swerve Strickland to be world champion again. Even though he dropped it in a fantastical way that I agreed with to Bryan Danielson in his last championship match, I want to see Swerve Strickland win the world title back. And this was the step in the right direction. And this is where I have to agree with the Roman Reigns similarities. When Swerve Strickland regained his jacket, I just thought, God damn, that's the Ulafala.
It sure is. All right down to him hugging Prince Nana. The friction was seemingly a ruse. Nana and Swerve are back on the same page. And it seems like they will be going into Dynasty this weekend when they have that inevitable main event with Jon Moxley. This match was really solid. I'm going to go 3 3/4 stars. I'm
going to go 4 stars. This was really fun.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like it had a bit too many bells and whistles for my liking to really put it in that 4-star rating.
A little overbooked?
Little bit. Yeah, I feel like
Prince
Nana probably didn't need to walk out on Swerve Strickland at the beginning if he was just going to try and steal the jacket back from Ricochet. If they were going to have Prince Nana walk out like that, go all out with it. No pun intended. Have him actually turn on Swerve there and join forces with Ricochet.
If that wasn't going to be the finish, then it was, I agree. It was very unnecessary. But, not going to nitpick. This was a fantastic match. Great storyline.
Yeah.
Storytelling. Great chemistry. Right guy went over. This was great. I think it was a great cap to an amazing feud. Hats off to both men in this match.
Yep, and Ricochet is seemingly out of the world title picture and is challenging for the international title for some reason now. But while we're going towards the mid-card titles, we have the Continental Championship up for grabs as Kazuchika Okada won this title at Dynasty last year, and he's still got an iron grip on it, is defending against the big brick shithouse in Brody King, representing the House of Black. Oh, wait.
No. The Hounds of Hell.
The Hounds. Would you be intimidated by a team named the Hounds of Hell?
Yes, I would. Let's talk about that. Let's address the elephant in the room.
Let's go.
So, Will Ospreay wrestled Buddy Matthews on an episode of Dynamite. After they had a fantastic match, because of course they would, it's Ospreay and Matthews. Ospreay gets on the mic and tells Matthews, I respect the hell out of you. You don't have to follow anyone. You and Brody King, whether you want to continue being a tag team or go for singles gold, I got your back. You got my blessing. And that was so apparent at this point that Malachi Black is no longer with AEW. The House of Black is no more. And instead, I don't want to say it's a bad thing, but instead of taking that advice and maybe pushing Matthews and Brody King to some single success, they are a tag team with Julia Hart still, known as the Hellhounds. I think it benefits both divisions because, you need a solid tag team and you need 2 guys that can wrestle singles, but they're not really do anything with these guys. And you could say, oh, well, Brody King's on pay-per-view, but this is where I'm going to ask the question. Why is this match on pay-per-view? Don't get me wrong. Brody King and Okada, fuck yes, sign me up. But does this really need to be on pay-per-view? Or can this main event a Dynamite or a Collision?
I am 100% on board with that, but I'll raise you one. On the contrary, why does Triple H feel the need to only have 5-match pay-per-views when you could give opportunities to guys like, more opportunities rather to guys like Braun Breaker defending the IC title against a Dominic Mysterio or something like that? The only time we really see mid-card guys on WWE pay-per-views now is if it's Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, WrestleMania. That's really it. And you got shows like Bad Blood, where you have Cody on every main event, and you have CM Punk coming in for most main event matches. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a double-edged sword, where you kind of need those mid-card matches, but you need to have a solid story. And the only story that I really see with this match is that Okada beat Buddy Matthews in his home country at Grand Slam. And a pretty good match, mind you.
I 100% agree with you. I think I would be singing a different tune if, these pay-per-views didn't feel so bloated. If it wasn't in the great words of Sheamus, banger after banger after banger. And this match was a banger, but you know what? I didn't have enough bang in me to get really behind this as much as I wanted to. If this was a card, absolutely, I'd be all over this match. But you know, it's like, you got to pace yourself with these shows. And unfortunately, some of these matches have to take a back burner. And that's what this felt like to me. Was it a good match? Absolutely. But I wasn't really emotionally invested in it because it was like, you know Okada's going to retain. You know the Continental Championship, by the time All In rolls around, is going to be no more. They're going to unify the title with the international title. So it's just like, why should I get into this match?
So is it going to be merged into the AEW Intercontinental Championship?
I would fucking dare them.
That would be fucking awesome if they did that.
New Japan Pro Wrestling has an Intercontinental title and the United States title, so WWE never patented those.
WWE, like, it's Intercontinental is just a word, you know, it's not a trademark. Kazuchika Okada does his typical offense, you know, the middle finger salute and what have you. It was a solid enough match with Brody King. Brody King looked good. It was an interesting clash of styles here with the powerhouse against Okada. Okada does inevitably hit the Rainmaker, and he pins Brody King after about 11 minutes. Pretty good match, you know.
You know what? I am going to give it this. It was kind of a hoss fight because Okada's a big motherfucker.
He sure is. He sure is, isn't he?
I wouldn't say it's a hoss fight in the sense like Big Bill and Powerhouse Hobbs is, but, you know, these two were beating the shit out of each other. And that's what I appreciated about this match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciated that too. Again, foregone conclusion that Okada was retaining. I wasn't expecting a tag team guy to take a singles title at this point.
Which is a damn shame because Brody King is fucking awesome and he shouldn't be looked at as a tag team guy.
No. Just like Jey Uso is looked at as a talented tag team wrestler by half of the IWC, right?
But yes, you know, you look at Brody King, and you know what I think? He's a scary-looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's head to toe with tattoos. He's huge. He beats the shit out of dudes.
Big beard. He roars.
This guy should be dominating the roster, but you know what? Every time I see him wrestle on TV, he's fucking losing.
Yeah. It's like it's like AEW's answer to Braun Strowman, a guy who loses a lot. But yet, commentators will build him up as one big son of a bitch.
How come Pat McAfee's the only commentator that's not a fucking coward? Because Wade Barrett, come on, man. Every Friday on SmackDown, that's one big SOB. I'm like, oh, come on, man.
Just say one big son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but speaking of big sons of bitches, holding tag team gold now, and very hurtful men, people who tend to hurt people a lot. What do we got next? That was a weird segue.
It's okay. I was in the middle of typing a message, so thanks for doing that for me.
I'll take it.
Oh my God. Talk about a match that I feel very torn about, and I was a little irritated going into it. But you know what? I have good things to say about this match, and I have bad things to say about this match. It is the Hurt Syndicate, Shelton Benjamin and Lashley, defending the AEW World Tag Team titles against the Outrunners.
Hey.
So I'm going to let you get it out of your system because
we hurt people. It's such a bad, like listening to that song by itself, like, it's not very good, aside from MVP's verse, which did not need to go as hard. I did not know MVP could rap, but when you listen to the we hurt people, it sounds really bad, but when you add the chants in there, it sounds boss. We hurt people. We hurt people.
You want to talk about a theme song that grew on me like a fucking fungus? This one. Because you know what? I was very disappointed. Not disappointed, but like, it was unfortunate. Not disappointed in Lashley, but disappointed in WWE that Lashley left. Because you look at Lashley and you're like, he's a fucking megastar. How do you fumble him? WWE found a way to fumble this guy. And he went to AEW. And, I love the Almighty. But here he is in AEW, and with this theme song, I was like, that's all right. But then again, the fans start getting into it. The fans, no matter where Lashley goes, Lashley could beat the shit out of like a 2-year-old, and the fans would still like him.
Yeah.
Lashley has aura. The Hurt Syndicate have aura. And no matter how much of a dastardly heel you try to book these guys, they're too cool. They are way too fucking cool.
I've loved this stable ever since MVP saved Bobby Lashley from a shitty soap opera angle during the pandemic.
Yes, he did.
Oh, Bobby Lashley's career, if MVP did not come in at the phase that he did, like, who knows what Bobby Lashley would be doing? Who knows if Lashley would have even been a world champion? Like,
yeah, I agree. Like, MVP.
Crazy.
MVP coming back to WWE in 2020 was the greatest thing to happen to Lashley's career.
Mm-hmm.
The Hurt Business was one of my favorite parts of the pandemic era. It's a damn fucking shame that when audiences came back, the Hurt Business was already fizzling out. And Tony Khan has this opportunity right in front of him to make the Hurt Syndicate one of the most over factions in AEW. But there's a couple of issues here, because here's the thing. Here's what I said about when Lashley wrestled Swerve Strickland. They need to put the fucking world title on Lashley.
Yep.
They cannot fucking sit on it, because this man is a fucking megastar. He is nearing 50 years old, and he looks like he's chiseled out of stone.
Yep.
Lashley
has limited time on the clock in his career. As much as it pains me to admit that, Lashley is in his mid going into late 40s. He's not going to be wrestling forever. And I fear that putting the tag team titles with him and Shelton Benjamin, it's going to put him in the same situation that Malachi Black was in. Because remember when Malachi came into AEW after the pandemic was basically over at that point, like the vaccines were out and crowds were back. Malachi Black squashed Cody Rhodes within 5 minutes. And what did they do with him after that? They gave him Brody King as a follower. They gave him Buddy Matthews as a follower, which is good continuity. But they never gave Malachi Black a singles world title push. Aside from the barbed wire steel cage match with Edge. Like, that was all they gave him.
And
he was stuck. He was stuck in tag team and trios purgatory. You do not do that with Malachi Black.
And people want to blame Cody for that. It wasn't Cody that put him in there. It was AEW. Because you know what? Look, you know me. You know me. I love myself a good tag team, and I love myself a good stable.
Yeah.
So you don't sacrifice the whole man's career to keep him in a stable forever.
Exactly. So
look,
I am
there live for when the Elite took on the House of Black in a fucking fantastic trios match. You know, I love the House of Black.
Yeah.
But you don't do that. And here's the thing. So here's the thing about the Hurt Syndicate. They're too over to be heels. They're too fucking dominant. Name one tag team on the AEW roster that can take the tag team titles off these guys. I can't name any of them because they've all been getting their fucking asses whooped.
Exactly.
The ass boys. Then brings me to the Outrunners. And you know what? I couldn't help but be really fucking annoyed with this build, because remember when we first brought up the Outrunners, and you know what I said? I said, these guys are over. You should be taking advantage of them. They should be on Dynamite. They should be on pay-per-views. They should be challenging for tag team titles. I'm so glad Tony Khan decided to do that when he put the tag team titles on a fucking murder machine that is Hurt Syndicate, because I walked in this match and I go, well, they're on pay-per-view, but they're fucking lambs to the slaughter because they're going to get their fucking asses handed to them, and they're never going to be seen in the tag team title picture again. Why do you do this, Tony Khan? Why do you take an organically over team that got over on their own and you put them in a situation where there's no choice but to bury them?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. You said it all.
You know, they were such an underdog tag team going into this. Like, the crowd was super into them. I love the 80s video package they had coming out. They've been on SportsCenter hyping up college basketball teams. You have something here. But you know what? You missed the mark. These guys, nothing against Private Party. You know, I went on about them. I mean, they got fucked over too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I meant into that great story. But you know what? The Outrunners should have been the guys that take the titles off of the Bucks.
And yet, now the Outrunners are not over anymore because all you hear from the crowd is, We hurt people.
And you're probably
We hurt people.
If you don't watch AEW, what is that chant all about? Well, I'll tell you what that chant is all about, because when the Hurt Syndicate wrestles, they beat the ever-living fuck out of their opponents.
Well, they do. Because
that's what the Hurt Syndicate does. Shelton Benjamin knees you with the goddamn fucking jaw and breaks half of your teeth, and then Lashley rips you in half with a spear. Is it so fun to watch? Absolutely it is. I love watching the Hurt Syndicate lay a beat down on people, but
no pun intended.
Outrunners are so over. They're so fucking over, and you just squash out any momentum they possibly could have had. You think? Because here's the thing: the Hurt Syndicate, I almost said Cert Syndicate, Hurt Syndicate are going to hold these titles for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
By the time they drop those titles, I'm sorry to say, but do you think the fans are really going to care about the Outrunners anymore? Maybe.
No way.
They're not going to have the same spark they did 6 months ago. And
that's
why strike when the iron is hot. The iron is hot.
Well, by the time the Hurt Syndicate loses these titles, the Outrunners will probably have split up, and both guys will be in ROH purgatory by that point.
Jesus Christ, look at the Acclaimed. Look what they did to my boys, the Acclaimed. Look what they did to them. I'll never forgive me for that.
Yeah. But easy.
Look what they did to my boys. Sorry, man. Sorry.
It's okay. Bobby Lashley
unknown is very lonely sometimes.
Somehow does not win with the full Lashley or the Hurt Lock. Shelton Benjamin ends up getting the pin, which I do appreciate that Tony Khan is pushing Shelton Benjamin way more than WWE ever did over the past decade. Because Shelton Benjamin is a hidden gem. He really is.
He's a fucking stud.
Yeah.
Watching him wrestle his debut match live made me fall in love with that wrestler all over again.
He's a surprise Haas. He's in a Haas stable. The Hurt Syndicate is a Haas stable.
Stiff. Yeah. Oh my God. He is stiff. So this match, in a vacuum, I mean, the Outrunners did fight back. Not saying they got totally squashed, but there was no chance in hell anybody thought the Outrunners were going to get the surprise upset victory over the Hurt Syndicate. If this was the Outrunners versus the Bucks, yes. If this was the Outrunners versus, damn, AEW's tag division is so bad right now. If this was any other, I don't know. Let's play Time Machine, and you put the Outrunners in the era where the Lucha Bros were the tag team champions. Yes, I could believe the Outrunners could beat them, but against the Hurt Syndicate, hell, fucking no. This was like thinking that Austin Theory was going to successfully cash in Money in the Bank on Brock Lesnar.
Don't remind me of that time in WWE history.
So,
don't remind me.
Irritating. It's like, I love the Hurt Syndicate, and I thought the Outrunners were cool as fuck, but you put them in a no-win situation. I will give the match 2.5 stars because it was a decent match, but God damn, Tony Khan. God damn. And people want to say, oh, WWE doesn't capitalize. Why isn't LA Knight the world champion? Well, LA Knight is still fucking over, and he's in meaningful storylines. But Tony Khan looks at one overact. It's like Zack Ryder syndrome. People like to say, like, oh, Vince McMahon just fucked over Zack Ryder because he got over organically. Like, motherfucker, look at half of the gimmicks in AEW. Look at half of the gimmicks in AEW.
You don't say.
Tony Khan snuffed out the Acclaimed so hard. Look at them now. The Outrunners were over as fuck to the point where when I went to that AEW show, there was only 3 pieces of merchandise. MJF, Sting, and the Outrunners. These guys were merch movers, and you snuffed them out. Why? Who fucking knows?
Because the Hurt Syndicate is a fucking overact, you know?
I agree. But at the expense of the Outrunners, it was like, it's not that I'm mad at the Hurt Syndicate for being so over. I'm mad that they decided to give the Outrunners their pay-per-view tag title shot when it's up against these guys. When it should have been a long-ass time ago, and they could have capitalized on the Outrunners. They could have had like a 4 to 6 month run with the titles. They could have dropped them, and then they would have been cemented in history as, you know, the Bryan Danielson of the tag team division.
But alas, we can't have nice things, can we?
Jesus fucking Christ.
So, but we can have this nice thing coming up next.
Right, we can.
The Hollywood ending for the AEW Women's World Championship. Anything goes, falls count anywhere. This is the finale to the feud. They told you that. It's called the Hollywood ending. Timeless Toni Storm, who won the title back in her home country at Grand Slam, is defending against her former understudy, Mariah May. This is the best women's story in AEW history.
It is. And
Like,
it's for this reason, not just this reason, but the defining moment of this build. Both Timeless Toni Storm and Mariah May are having a sit-down interview with Renee Paquette. And when it's Timeless Toni Storm's time to talk, wow, that was a mouthful. She looks over at Mariah May and says, "You do not deserve the dignity of death. I banished you to a lifetime of mediocrity." And I'm like, holy shit, someone call the morgue. She just fucking murdered her.
She murdered her.
Somebody call the police. I have to report a dead body. You don't deserve the dignity of death. I banished you to a lifetime of mediocrity. How the fuck do you recover from that? I'll tell you how. You don't.
You don't. You don't. Because John Cena buries... he does not bury talent. He buries mediocrity. Right?
Wow. Are you referencing a promo I haven't watched yet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, you bastard.
It's a fucking banger promo. But Mariah May wastes no time. She runs up the ramp during Tony's entrance.
Oh, real quick.
Yeah.
What is a Hollywood ending rules match? It's a false count anywhere match.
Yeah, anything goes, false count anywhere, no disqualifications, no count outs. Mariah May and Toni Storm are brawling outside where there's a big Hollywood sign by the entrance. It's like made of plaster or whatever, and they break it up. Mariah May hits a Storm Zero on the steel stairs, and Toni Storm is bleeding so much. And there was a point where it looked like Toni Storm herself was a bit frustrated because she probably gigged harder than she meant to.
Yeah. But you want to talk about a feud that deserves blood? This one.
Yeah.
100% this one.
Totally.
They go back in the ring and they do something I never thought I would see. They both pull out buckets of champagne. You know, the champagne ice in the bucket.
Bro.
But that's not ice in the bucket. They both pull out double-sided tape and they start wrapping their fists. And I'm like, I know where this is going.
It's broken glass.
Hand in the bucket. Yep. What is it? Taiwanese?
Yeah, this is a direct callback to a match from old time ECW that I watched on tape a lot between Axel and Ian Rotten. It was called the Taipei Death Match.
Yes.
Where it was double-sided tape and they had broken champagne glass all over their fists. And the referee, that match was funny because the referee, Bill Alfonso, was trying every which way he could to prevent this match from happening because he did not like blood and he was anti-extreme. But once he left the building, then the commissioner comes out and he's like, "Did Bill Alfonso just leave the building?" And Joey Styles is like, "Come on, get the match going." And the commissioner says, "Well, in that case, let's start the Taipei Death Match." I don't know why he sounded like, fucking Joe Swanson when I said that, but fucking it was
not do a fucking Joe Swanson, so don't ask me to.
it's a direct callback to the Taipei Death Match, which I very much appreciated, being a somewhat old school fan.
Holy shit, this spot! If anybody, you know what? I want somebody who doesn't watch pro wrestling to take one look at Mariah May and go, "Aw, she's a pretty girl." And then they see this and be like, yeah, she is a pretty girl.
Yeah.
But Mariah May is one of the most badass hardcore wrestlers I've ever seen.
Mariah May's great, gang.
I want to see her versus Candice LeRae in a fucking death match.
I want to see her versus Chelsea Green in a death match. Are you kidding me?
3-way death match. Fuck it.
Fuck it. Why not? Why not? Storm hits a Storm Zero. There's some good near falls. Storm pulls out the shoe, and the crowd is really wanting Toni Storm to hit her with the shoe. Mayday on the stage. Mariah May is bleeding heavily from the broken glass. Do you think it's real glass, Tomas?
Oh, why don't you ask Drew McIntyre?
Yeah, go cry me a river, right? May bleeding heavily from the forehead. Toni Storm hits one more Storm Zero on a table that's set up on the stage, and she pins Mariah May off of that. And what's beautiful about this presentation is the screen goes to the black and white filter that we're used to for Timeless Toni Storm, but all it says on the Titantron is "the end." Like it's an old-timey Turner Classic movie, and I'm like, bravo to that. Bravo.
I already know. Okay, 4.5 stars.
Yes.
And you know why I have an issue with this match. 12 minutes.
Too short because Mercedes Moné is a bitch that won't like go less than 20 minutes.
This match should have got a half hour.
Yes.
This is the blow off to your greatest women's feud in company history. Maybe the greatest women's feud of all time.
Should have at least doubled the time that this match actually got. They should have gotten at least 25 minutes.
But you know what? What they did in that 12 minutes was so impactful, and I'm not excusing it whatsoever. I'm just glad they used their time to the best of their ability. They were doing really well with what they were given. But that is inexcusable that your women's world title match, that is a blow-off to the biggest feud in company history, was the same amount of time as probably a TV main event.
I mean, regardless of that, this was my favorite match on the show.
This match was fantastic.
It might not have been, technically speaking, the best match on the entire show, but this was my personal favorite because the story and the long-term build to get to this point, this is what I want more out of AEW, is long-term booking. You know, Toni Storm and Mariah May in this phase of AEW is the epitome of long-term booking. So,
now, I'm not going to say what I want. I'm just saying, with the rumors circulating right now, if Mariah May were to leave AEW right now, she's fulfilled. I don't think there's anything left for Mariah May to do in AEW. I think she made her mark, and it's going to be left for years and years to come. And I think her time there is fulfilled. If she sticks around, I'm not going to complain. I hope they keep the momentum going with her. But this feud has basically solidified Mariah May for the rest of her career.
Totally.
Now you got WWE starting after her. I'm sure TNA would fucking love to have her. New Japan would love to have her.
Is her contract coming up?
Apparently, yeah. That's why I'm
really?
Like, you know, now you're going to have every single wrestling company in the world fighting for this girl to work for them. And Mariah May, hey, it's her pick of the litter. The world is her oyster. She wants to stick with AEW? Hell yeah. I would love to see what WWE would do with her. It'd be cool to see her go to Japan and tear it up over there. Even though she came from Japan, but, you know.
Yeah.
But now that she has this under her belt, the world is her oyster. And wherever she chooses, I think is the right decision. I don't think there's any wrong way to go about it.
And Mariah May is only 26 years old.
Yeah.
So she has a very long career ahead of her if she chooses to continue.
The obvious road, I mean, would I like to see Mariah May in WWE? Absolutely. Do I need her there right now? No, I don't actually.
But where would she fit in? Like when you already have people who are fitting the Mariah May archetype, like a Tiffany Stratton, for example.
Well, NXT is a good start. She would tear the fuck up there.
Yeah, I mean...
But also, I mean, who was Mariah May when she first arrived to AEW? Just another hot blonde chick. And she showed the world that, no, she is not just a hot blonde chick. So, there's that.
She's a badass. She is a badass.
I think she would just have to prove everybody wrong in WWE, too. And I think, I think there would be a place for her. But like I said, if she goes there, great. I'd be elated. If she doesn't, you know what? I don't need her in WWE right now.
No.
Right this very minute. If she wants to wait another 5 years and then go to WWE, absolutely. I'm sure she'll be even more seasoned than she already is, but I don't need it right this very moment.
Well, I will continue to follow Mariah May wherever she goes. She is a gem, for sure. Same thing with Toni Storm. And I'm hoping that she has a healthier women's title reign this time around, like she did last time. But since she's going up against Megan Bayne, otherwise known as female Brock Lesnar, this weekend, I don't have a lot of high hopes that Toni Storm is coming out of that as the champion, but we'll see. We'll see. Stranger things have happened.
Ooh. Boy.
You know, like John Cena turning heel. Stranger things have happened.
So I hope you're all nice and warmed up and ready to go, because speaking of trilogies, we're about to go into a trilogy of grudge matches. So I hope you ate your Wheaties. I hope you took a nap. I hope you're ready to rock and roll, because this match and the following two matches afterward, they're going to take a lot out of you. And next up, speaking of the ending of trilogies, it's the third match and a returning Kenny Omega challenging Konosuke Takeshita for the AEW International Championship. So after Grand Slam in Australia, Omega and Will Ospreay, defeated Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher in a tag team match. They cut to the backstage where they were celebrating their win, and Omega said, "Takeshita, you brag about beating me twice. Why not make it a third time? I'm challenging for the AEW International Championship. And to bury the lead, Will Ospreay follows up with Kyle Fletcher. Our feud has not come to an end yet. Let's settle it in a steel cage. I loved that promo. They both laid down the gauntlet right then and there. And I knew from the start, these two matches were going to steal the fucking show.
You know, I knew that these guys would put together killer stuff in the ring just based on their previous two encounters. This one might have been better than both of them, which is crazy to say that. Technically speaking, this was match of the night, and it's so inspiring to just hear those words come out of my mouth just because of what Kenny Omega's been through over the past year. And he's back and better than ever. He really is. This guy has not lost a step. I was so concerned that diverticulitis would have lessened his in-ring ability. Thank God it didn't.
You couldn't even tell this man had diverticulitis.
No.
He was firing on all cylinders. You want to talk about a piece of you missing the past year or so with AEW? It was Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's sad because the last time we saw Kenny Omega in the ring, he wasn't looking so hot. And you could say it was because of his health. But everybody talks about how Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho cut the worst fucking promo of all time against Big Bill and Ricky Saints. And I remember just being sad because I'm like, this is Kenny fucking Omega, the best bout machine. The man that, you know, was a big reason why I was excited AEW was a thing. And now he's out here cutting lame-ass jokes with Chris Jericho? Like, what the fuck? So seeing this match brought me so much joy to say, confidently say, that's the fucking Kenny Omega I know. He's going to put on a banger-ass match, and then he's going to hook up with Adam Cole and Cesaro and Xavier Woods, and they're going to play some fucking Uno or something.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing missing from that promo with Jericho was a list. Seriously.
Yikes.
Seriously. He should have put Big Bill on the list again.
Easy.
Should have put Ricky Saints on the list.
Let me guess. You would ask Kenny Omega what color he wants.
No, because that's Claudio's thing.
No. Claudio's thing is Clash of the Clans. Adam Cole, let me guess. You want to ask Adam Cole what color he wants again?
I would. These
I'm
guys.
sure Adam Cole has a lot of time to play Uno right now. God damn, that was rude. That was mean.
Well, that was ice cold, man.
Yeah,
that was ice cold. Takeshita had won the previous two matches against Kenny Omega on pay-per-view, and he beat him clean as a whistle. So it was imperative that if Kenny Omega were to win this match, which he does, that Takeshita looks strong in defeat. And somehow they pulled it off.
They did.
They
fucking did.
These guys went back and forth. Kenny Omega kicked out at 1 out of something. Takeshita with a Busaiku knee, I think. And Kenny Omega kicks out at 1, which I'm sure pissed off Bryan Danielson wherever he's watching the show.
Or maybe he said, my man.
Right? Yeah. Fickle.
Easy.
So Omega running V-triggers. These guys are going back and forth. He didn't even get a one-winged angel.
No.
Didn't get any real finishers. It was all about who could score the pinfall quicker.
And that's what I loved about this match. It wasn't finisher spam. It wasn't, overbooked. It was just straight up, just magic.
It was.
This was a magical match between these two. And I was proper into this match. This was so good. And I have sang the praises of Konosuke Takeshita, and I'm going to say it again. It really disappointed me when it felt like they just randomly put the international title on this guy, and we really didn't see much of him. But every time he wrestled, he delivered. And I'm like, Konosuke Takeshita moved to the United States so he could be on AEW. This man
sure
is
did.
all over the place. He won the Battle of LA with PWG. He went back to Japan and defended titles and won titles. He's been, I think he wrestles for DPW, which is awesome. He has won titles all over the country. And AEW has their chance to make him their star. To be like, when you say Konosuke Takeshita, you think AEW. And I thought they were fumbling him for a minute. This match right here was like, no, this guy is the fucking man.
He really is, especially with Don Callis in his corner, that piece of shit who is on commentary. And they don't have heavy Don Callis involvement. He's just kind of on commentary and being reactive to everything, which I very much appreciated. Because a lot of matches involving Don Callis family members have had some sort of Don Callis interference. And to an extent, Don Callis still kind of loves Kenny Omega. As much as he might not want to say it, he loves Kenny Omega. So he probably did not want to get involved.
This is a little off topic, but when Kenny Omega returned and he cut that heartfelt promo about missing wrestling and not knowing if he was going to wrestle again, fucking Don Callis comes out and he says, "Look who came back from the dead." And Kenny Omega just blasted on. I'm like, you son of a bitch. You were really just about to say, "Look who came back from the dead."
Yeah, because Kenny Omega could have died from diverticulitis.
Exactly.
I hear diverticulitis is life-threatening. I don't know. I'm not well-versed in medical, but anyway. Omega actually wins the International Championship here via crucifix pin, and Takeshita is that close to kicking out. He kicks out at like 3.1. But Kenny Omega walks out with the title, and the commentators are going on and on about how inspiring this is. And I can't help but agree with him, man. This is 4 3/4 stars. Technically speaking, match of the night.
I'm going to agree. 4 3/4 stars. This was fucking awesome. I loved everything about this match. It's like you can have these types of matches in AEW and still not them feel so tiresome. And oh my God, this guy just kicked out of 3 tombstones in a row. And now this guy's kicking out of 5 tornado F5s in a row. And this guy just got spike pile driven onto a barbed wire table on fire. And he kicked out at 1. It's like you can have these kinds of matches and still have them technically work in that way.
Yeah.
Psychology.
You technically could. But what a great ending to this trilogy, which technically still could be a series if they still wanted to keep wrestling each other, because Takeshita still has 2 wins over Kenny Omega's 1. Kenny Omega still might want to catch up. And I would be fully on board of seeing more of these matches between these guys.
Oh, absolutely.
They are magic together. Absolutely magic. Speaking of magic, and speaking of a great fucking feud, we have Will Ospreay versus the protostar Kyle Fletcher in a steel cage match. This is AEW's answer to Hell in a Cell, I guess, because steel cage matches in AEW, it's only pinfall or submission. There's no escape the cage rule. So you can't.
It should be escape the cage.
Because otherwise you'd have Nigel or Excalibur on commentary saying, "Well, there's nowhere for Kyle Fletcher to run." And then the first thing Kyle Fletcher does is climb the cage, even during Will Ospreay's entrance.
Yeah,
he should have scaled the cage down before Ospreay even made it to the ring, so Kyle Fletcher technically wins.
That was fucking awesome, but scary at the same time. First of all, let's talk about Will Ospreay's entrance. I don't know what it was, but I felt like I was on a rave and I was on drugs, and it was fucking awesome. Will Ospreay, we say this every podcast, and I'm going to say it again. He is a fucking star. He's the reason to watch AEW. He is.
Right there.
He is the most over star in AEW. Him, Kenny Omega, and Swerve Strickland, I'm going to be honest, are the only reasons why I'm still watching.
Yep. You got to have those guys that you got to latch onto. And Will Ospreay is one of them.
Will Ospreay, I think, is my favorite pro wrestler in the world right now.
Yeah.
I talked about my phases before. I went through a phase where AJ Styles was the greatest wrestler in the world. I went through a phase where Bryan Danielson was the greatest wrestler in the world. I'm in my Will Ospreay era right now. Will Ospreay is the greatest wrestler in the world.
Yeah. So Kyle Fletcher starts bleeding pretty early on. And Will Ospreay...
real quick, I forgot to bring up the other point. During the entrances, Fletcher climbs to the top of the cage, and then Ospreay climbs to the top of the cage, opposite sides, and they're just staring each other down. And I'm just thinking, I would have been terrified climbing that thing. Because remember,
Me too.
There's no harnesses here. There's no safety nets here. One of these guys fucking loses their footing, they're going to die. That is a 15-foot drop.
They should have done the Logan Paul Ricochet Royal Rumble spot.
Easy. Oh my God, could you imagine?
That'd be fucking awesome. But very, very unsafe and not smart. So please don't do that. Please don't listen to me. Kyle Fletcher starts bleeding pretty early on. The only thing missing is Will Ospreay drinking the blood and then looking out at the crowd and saying, "Yummy."
Yummy.
That's the only thing. Wasn't that what he said when he was drinking Kenny Omega's blood in Forbidden Door?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Isn't that what he said? I have to look back at the footage to make sure, but I don't know where I'm going with that. A Cancun tornado, Will Ospreay. Jesus Christ, this guy is pulling out all the stops. Mark Davis, this poor man. He runs down to the ring. He seems like a third wheel in this whole situation. Yeah. He runs down with bolt cutters, tries to get involved. There's a barbed wire baseball bat that gets involved as well. Kyle Fletcher has a United Empire armband to try and throw Ospreay off the scent to be like, hey, we're together now. We're together. I didn't really need this Mark Davis interference. I'm going to be completely honest.
I did not either. It felt very forced. It was very unnecessary. And unless Mark Davis played into the finish of the match, which I do not agree with, absolutely, he should have not have played into the finish of it. I don't understand what his involvement was. This was an Ospreay and Fletcher issue. Sorry, Davis. Until they officially turn that motherfucker heel and they reunite Aussie Open, there is really no place for him.
Aussie, climb, climb, climb.
Nobody was going to chant that.
Climb the cage. But Kyle Fletcher, there was some sick fuck spots in this, towards the end. There was a brain buster on an opened up chair. There's a callback with a screwdriver as he's jamming it into Will's head. And there's thumbtacks that are brought in. And I know thumbtacks are your favorite, Tomas. So I'm sure you were just chomping at the bit to see somebody take a spot. Sure enough, I didn't think that it would be a styles clash into the thumbtacks. Jesus
fucking Christ. Styles clash into the fucking thumbtacks.
Yeah. And somehow Kyle Fletcher wrestles for another 5 minutes after that, even though there's thumbtacks up and down his chest and his torso area.
I don't know how I feel also about kicking out of the hidden blade.
Oh, you shouldn't.
That needs to be the most protected finisher in AEW.
Well, when you have the Tiger Driver right after.
Also, you're going to sit there and tell me that the fucking Judas effect was protected for 2 years.
Yeah.
But the hidden blade is already getting kicked out of. And
of course.
What? The hidden blade has been getting kicked out of ever since Will Ospreay was wrestling for AEW when he wasn't even with AEW.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you're going to tell me that the Judas effect needs to be protected over the hidden blade.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Just like you mean to tell me it's irresponsible to let a Tiger drive?
Yeah, it is. Yet they still let him do it.
Yeah, they still hit the Tiger Driver 91 at the end after a majestic looking finish that is right out of Kurt Angle in 2001. Remember when Kurt Angle did that moonsault off the cage onto Benoit and Angle missed it, and it's the biggest oh my god moment in Raw history for a while?
Yeah.
They kind of replicate that, sort of, but Will and Kyle both do it at the same time. It's a Spanish fly slam off the top of the cage.
Jesus fucking Christ, the Spanish fly off the cage.
Mm-hmm.
God fucking damn.
I lost my shit when I saw that. That was crazy.
I did too.
That was crazy.
And of course, there's a kick out.
Yeah, because it's AEW.
The finish to this match, I loved. Because even though I'm not a huge fan of this trope, if you can stand up and taunt your opponent, fucking move out of the way, but whatever. I thought this was executed so well to the point that I didn't care. Fletcher gets to his knees. He looks at Ospreay and he says, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you, Ospreay. And Ospreay says, fuck me? Nah, fuck you. One more hidden blade. Tiger Driver. End of the match. I wanted to give this 5 stars. I did. But considering the inconsistencies and talking out loud,
I'm going 4.5.
I think 4.5 is too low, but I think 4 3/4 is still a little too generous.
Go 4.6. 4.6 out of 5.
4 3/4 stars. 4 3/4 stars.
All right.
I think I loved the storytelling in this match way too much to let the unnecessary stuff bother me that much. But I think that those little things is what prevented this from being a perfect match.
Yeah. Oh, big time. And I feel like this is one of the most consistent AEW feuds we've seen in a while, because all three of these guys' matches on the past 3 pay-per-views have been consistently excellent.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's...
My only thing is, and this is the biggest issue AEW has, Fletcher lost the feud. That does not mean he needs to fizzle into obscurity. You keep his momentum going.
Into the TNT Championship, and he beats Adam Cole for it or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta put this guy in meaningful feuds on TV still. Just because he lost the feud to Ospreay doesn't mean, okay, well, the Kyle Fletcher experiment is over. No. Keep going with him. He's great.
Yeah. It looks like looks like what would happen if Sid from Toy Story grew up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, looks like Mark Jindrak.
Imagine if we lived in the timeline where Mark Jindrak was in Evolution
instead of Batista.
Yeah.
So Mark Jindrak would have played Drax the Destroyer.
And then Batista's acting career flopped when he decided he was going to be Daredevil in the original movie.
And Batista would be a bouncer somewhere.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that timeline. Because I like where Batista's life went.
Yeah, me too. I also don't want to think about this main event, but we kind of have to talk about it, don't we?
Fucking hell. You know what? After we had the majesty that was that Hollywood Endings match, how fucking awesome that international title match was, and how just freaking out of this world the steel cage match was, I kind of sat there and go, oh, now it's time for this match.
Yep.
For the AEW World Championship briefcase, it is Jon Moxley of the fucking goddamn motherfucking Death Riders versus Cope.
Hey, Tomas, would you be intimidated by a man named Cope?
No.
What?
Cope
why is
sounds like a pathetic shell of a man that I once knew and loved and admired.
Cope is the last name of a Bay Area theater actor that I've seen in shows. Like, Come on, man. Come on.
So, be honest with me. Did anybody give a flying fuck about this match after those 3 awesome matches we saw prior?
No. I mean, aside from the crowd singing Metalingus, I thought that was pretty awesome.
It really makes you put things into perspective when you look at this match and you go, and then you see the other matches on the card and you think Ricochet, Swerve Strickland, Konosuke Takeshita, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher. Why are none of these guys in the world title picture?
Because it's Dean Ambrose and Edge.
It's Jon Moxley and Cope.
No, it's two ex-WWE guys.
Listen, nothing against Jon Moxley and nothing against Adam Copeland.
No.
2 of my favorite wrestlers in the past 10 or 15 years. For sure. Love these guys. Love their work.
Edge is one of my favorites of all time.
But Cope and Mox is not a pay-per-view main event that the fans are into. Because number 1, all of the talent that I just listed. Number 2, this Death Rider's angle fucking sucks dick.
You don't say.
For the past 6 months.
Bro, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Death Riders taking over the Superstation should not just be them beating up Action Andretti on the stage and Moxley cutting a tired promo. And I've heard some batshit insane fans start comparing the Death Riders to the Bloodline. You cannot compare those two.
Kidding me?
You cannot put those two side by side and say, oh yeah, because a former Shield member is the most interesting part of it because he's the leader. Number 1, yeah, Jon Moxley might hold the world title for 4 years, just like Roman Reigns did, and it'll be fucking
Jesus
annoying.
Christ, put me out of my goddamn misery if that happens.
You know, but here's the thing about the Bloodline, though. Every single other member of the Bloodline is equally, if not more, interesting than Roman Reigns. Main event Jey Uso, Big Jim, Sami Zayn at the peak of Bloodline. The Death Riders...
Sikoa being the silent but strong and surprisingly hilarious, heavy.
Bro, I would argue that Roman Reigns, even though he was the champion, was the least interesting part of that Bloodline.
Absolutely, you'd be right. You would be correct with that statement.
Yeah, but then you go over to the Death Riders, and it's just cannon fodder for the babyface to beat up before Moxley beats them with dirty deeds.
The paradigm shift.
Wheeler Yuta doesn't deserve that. Pac doesn't deserve that. Claudio sure as hell does not deserve that.
I don't know. I think Wheeler Yuta kind of deserves it.
Wheeler Yuta, yeah, fuck Wheeler Yuta. But anyway,
but when this stable was first formed together, it's just a repackaged Blackpool Combat Club. And if they were just that in like a name change, then it would be fine. Maybe this would be an easier pill to swallow. But they made the Death Riders like, we're gonna take over AEW. We're gonna destroy AEW. We hate what AEW has become. What have you done to do that? The first couple of weeks, yeah, sure. Them coming down and beating up everybody to the point where they had to get like taken out by security was fine. But you talk about the Superstation takeover, which wasn't even a takeover. All of these cringy ass segments and these terrible storylines and that shitty fatal 4-way. It's not interesting. Moxley putting the title in a briefcase is not interesting. Moxley putting the title in a briefcase and not explaining why he put the fucking title in a briefcase is not interesting.
Especially because in real interviews that break kayfabe, you hear Jon Moxley talk about how much he loves AEW. And now we're supposed to believe that he was so fed up with how Tony Khan was running things. How am I supposed to buy that?
Also, Jon Moxley is not shy about admitting that he has full creative control over anything Death Rider related in AEW. Well, you know what I have to say about that? Do you ever fucking give Jon Moxley the book?
No. Because
this is fucking horrible.
At least
this Fatal 4-Way match, this shitty Fatal 4-Way, where Coke made his return and he made his sights set on the AEW World Title. I love you, Adam Copeland. You're one of my favorites of all time. One of the best pops I've ever had out of myself when you returned at the Royal Rumble in 2020. I cried when you retired in 2011. But this is not it. This is not fucking it. You want to talk about a storyline about a group of renegades trying to take over the company, and your top babyface that's going after them is a fucking ex-WWE Hall of Famer? Where does that make sense?
It's WCW all over again, man.
Like, I don't want to go as far as saying all of AEW is like this, because look at this fantastic show we just reviewed. But this storyline, this whole the world title picture. If this was some fucking throwaway feud in the mid-card, yeah, we'd make fun of it. But this is the world title. It's their number one storyline in the company, and it sucks dick. You know what else? Dick? This match sucked dick.
Well, one more point before we get into the match that sucks dick. It's also a point that you brought up earlier. Moxley is carrying around the AEW World Championship belt in a briefcase. When you look at Cody Rhodes with the WWE Championship on his shoulder, Gunther with the World Heavyweight Championship around his waist, you should look at both of those prizes and feel inspired. We have not seen the AEW World Championship belt in almost 6 months now. So there is no reason for me to be invested in a world title match if I don't see the prize. You know, it's inside it's under lock and key.
There are a lot of rumors, heavy rumors, that AEW was really banking on Shane McMahon coming into the company and being the leader of the Death Riders. That's why the angle started so hot. But once it was revealed that Shane McMahon wanted like full creative control of the company and Tony Khan said, absolutely not. Thank you, but no thank you. It's like they were stuck with this angle and they didn't know where to go with it. The Death Riders could have been interesting in the beginning when they're choking out Bryan Danielson with the plastic bag, when they're saying, you know, this cryptic shit about like somebody's the puppeteer, someone's the master puppeteer. But then they don't get their master puppeteer. You know, it's just like, oh, well, we don't know what to do with this now. So
it's like, remember the Ministry of Darkness in the Attitude Era?
The higher power.
The Howler Power,
as the Undertaker said.
There were so many teases of who was the puppet master behind the Ministry of Darkness, who The Undertaker was answering to. Granted, the reveal was Vince McMahon himself, which makes no fucking sense with the storyline. But
especially when they kidnapped his daughter and tried to crucify her, and Stone Cold Steve Austin saved her.
And Undertaker tried to forcibly marry Stephanie.
Yeah.
But here's the difference. At least with the Ministry, there was a reveal for the Puppet Master.
Yeah.
I do not think the Death Riders are going to have a Puppet Master. I think they're just going to be some lame-ass Nexus wannabe stable. Jon Moxley's going to come out and cut tired promos that I'm so sick of hearing at this point. Like, it's turn the TV off level boredom. It's boring.
A lot of people like to say, oh, the thing about the higher power was they had this storyline, but they never had who it was going to be, so they panicked. But here's the thing. AEW, it's a weird reverse thing. They were like, oh, yeah, we're going to do the Death Riders, and Shane McMahon's going to come in. It's going to be this huge, big old, huge thing. But then the opposite happened. Their person fell through, so they were like, fuck it. We're not just going to have it's just going to be Jon Moxley.
Bro, and to top it all off, this match, I like both these guys individually, but I have never seen or heard a deader main event than this. This crowd could not care less. And
I mean, it's not even like the wrestling was bad. They weren't botching every other move, and it wasn't like they were in a rest hold for 15 minutes, but the crowd didn't care. And I'll tell you why the crowd didn't care. Because this storyline is not interesting. Was there a fun build? A little, yeah. I liked how Cope and Jay White were fucking with the Death Riders and, locking them into rooms and taking them out and stealing the AEW Championship briefcase and threatening to smash them with a baseball bat. That was fun and all, but when it got to the actual match, there was so much potential. A Jay White heel turn, someone stealing Christian Cage's contract and cashing in on them. There could have been so much potential for something cool to come out of this, but it was a wet fart of a main event.
What we got was Mox and Cope kind of wrestling around for a little bit. Cope locked in a crippler crossface for some reason. And then Moxley also had a bulldog choke for what felt like a good 10 minutes of the match. But Cope, it gets to a point where Cope hits one spear. Cope hits a second spear. Cope hits a third spear all in a row, which is kind of killing his own finish. And then he goes for the pinfall. Guy in a hood runs out, pulls the referee out of the ring. And wouldn't you know it, since it's Adam Copeland in the ring, it's his good friend Uncle Jay, Christian Cage, with his cute little Money in the Bank contract, which AEW can't call Money in the Bank because that's trademarked, but it's basically the same concept. And Christian...
No, Zach, there's a huge difference. In this case, the contract is not official until Christian Cage signs it.
Which he does. And it's...
What fucking sense does that make?
It's Seth Rollins...
You mean to tell me that Christian Cage went through this gauntlet at All In, won this contract, and it's not even official until he signs it? Imagine that.
That's bullshit.
Imagine this. Imagine the Money in the Bank briefcase. If you wanted to cash it in, you actually had to go to the bank, go to a teller, tell them you want to cash it in, go through the whole transaction, and then you can cash it in.
Yeah. Oh, dude, there was a point I forgot. So the whole story leading into this match was Cope beating the fucking shit out of the Death Riders, all to build up to Moxley going into the match by himself. But wouldn't you know it, Wheeler Yuta interferes. And I'm like, fuck me, dude. I'm so sick of seeing this guy.
There's another stupid-ass storyline that when Cope beat Wheeler Yuta in a one-on-one match on Dynamite, Cope's trying to tell him, oh, you're better than them, kid. You don't need to be with them. And they're teasing tension between Wheeler Yuta and Jon Moxley. And then Wheeler Yuta's just here, hits a Busaiku knee, and, still being Moxley's little bitch boy.
It's aggravating. It's aggravating. Even more aggravating when Christian Cage cashes in this contract, and the closest he gets is he spears Edge, and he gets two, and then Jon Moxley sneaks back in, puts Christian Cage in a bulldog choke, and Edge is trying to stop Christian from tapping, but Christian passes out in the hold, and Moxley retains. Like, Jesus! You wasted Christian Cage's cash-in. Like, I would have loved to have seen Christian Cage win. Anything but a Moxley retention. Anything. Because put this Death Riders angle out of its misery. Please. Okay.
Now,
I'm begging you.
When I saw that finish, I just laughed. Because, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I never wanted to see Christian Cage win the AEW World Title. Not saying Christian Cage doesn't deserve his flowers. Not saying he doesn't deserve to win a World Championship. But looking where AEW is right now, I think the last thing they should be doing is putting the title on a guy like Christian Cage. I'm sorry, old ex-WWE guy. Don't care if he's working his career. But here's the thing. Still, I was upset when they went with that finish because I'm just sitting here going, you just made Christian Cage look like the biggest fucking idiot, dweeb, dork, piece of shit jerk off in the history of forever. Because they hyped it up for months and months and months. And he goes down like that. Why?
If I were Christian, I would much rather lose the World Heavyweight title after a 2-day title reign to Randy Orton than this. Which is saying a lot.
I have heard people saying that somebody should have jumped him. Somebody should have jumped him and signed that contract and they win the world title, like a Jay White. And people will be like, no, that's stupid. That would make Christian Cage look dumb. Like, no. What is Christian Cage? He's the biggest piece of shit in the world. So seeing a babyface get one over on him like that probably would have been very satisfying. Jay White turning on Cope, that would have been cool. Jay White is world champion. That would have been cool. But no, they went with the most boring, predictable finish of all time. This match was fucking awful. The best I can give it is a 1.75 stars.
God damn. I'm going to go 1.5 stars. This main event sucked.
I almost gave it 2, but I'm like, that's being way too fucking generous.
That's at least it.
Wrestling itself was decent. It wasn't even good. It was decent.
That's at least a Chris Lash special if you gave it 2, but
yeah, no thanks.
Fucking hell, man. This pay-per-view was on its way to being one of the better AEW pay-per-views that we've seen.
And it still was. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying
it's a good pattern because Revolution usually is their best pay-per-view of the year. Looking back the past 3 years or so, last year with Sting's retirement in the main event, that was an awesome show. Killer show.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. I'm not saying this shitty main event, worst AEW pay-per-view ever. I'm giving it a 2 out of 10. Absolutely not. It was a fantastic show from top to almost bottom. But this is the main event. This is your world title picture. This is your world title match. It's supposed to represent what your company is. And you give us this? When is somebody going to hit Tony Khan over the head with something very heavy and say, this shit sucks? Roll a pair of balls, go to Jon Moxley and say, we either drastically change this angle or it's fucking done.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. And here's the thing. Jon Moxley is one of my favorite AEW wrestlers of all time. But I need a break from him as the world champion.
Yeah, but to put it,
yeah, you Google it. Go ahead.
No, to put it bluntly, Tony Khan's not a boss. He's a nice guy. So he's not going to go up to the Death Riders and be like, look, this angle's not working. We're just going to end it and put the title on Swerve at Dynasty, which I have no faith that they're going to put the title on Swerve at this rate.
I hope so. I really fucking hope so.
I don't know, man.
Saying, what about Darby Allin? Darby Allin is going to Mount Everest, and we don't know if we're ever going to see him again.
Yeah. Yeah, and Darby was our only hope. He's the only guy that kind of makes sense with this angle right now. But alas.
Where does this end? I don't know. I don't care. Just end this fucking feud.
End the stable, rather. Please.
Hey, Claudio, I hear WWE calling.
I'm just thinking.
Sheamus off in the distance. We don't raise the bar. We are the bar.
Sheamus and Cesaro. Sheamus and Cesaro.
Cesaro, I heard Shinsuke Nakamura needs a tag team partner again.
Cesaro, I hear Seth Rollins needs someone to put over at WrestleMania. I hear Cody Rhodes needs an opponent.
Hey, you want to go yodel? You want to hold the United States title for a year?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Holy shit. Oh overall, I'm still going to give Revolution an 8 out of 10 because it was a damn good show. Just a shitty main event. And you know what? If the main event was fucking awesome, I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10.
I'm going to go 8.5. I'm going to go 8.5. I like this show a little bit more than you, I think. Yeah, the main event was dreadful. But aside from that, I mean, Hollywood ending, fucking memorable women's match. Probably the best women's match in AEW history, albeit very short. Cage match was awesome. Takeshita and Omega put on one of the best wrestling matches we're probably going to see all year. Solid shit, man. The LA crowd definitely got their money's worth, aside from Christian Cage looking like a fucking goof. But
yeah,
what else is new?
Yeah, so AEW in the right direction. I mean, I don't even want to say that. Pay-per-views are always going to be good, but you look at the television and it's just, what are we doing here, man? What the fuck are we doing here?
Beats me, man.
A WWE try-hard tribalist, because you know what? WWE is pissing me the fuck off right now, too.
Yeah. How come you only have 7 matches announced for WrestleMania, my dudes? You got 2 nights to fill.
2 weeks ahead of the show.
Yeah.
And Triple H is over here going, what does Braun Breaker do? Penta. No, Finn Balor. No, Dominic Mysterio.
All 3 of them. All 3 of them.
Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. No. Jacob Fatu and LAI. No. Oh, what about Braun Strowman? No, I don't know what to do, man. I have too many wrestlers. I got to book all of them. Like,
bro.
You ever see that meme of Mickey Mouse? And it says, like, when something does this and it's Mickey Mouse on normal, but when somebody does it this way, it's like his face fucking smashed in. It's like Triple H booking every other pay-per-view. Great. Him booking WrestleMania, he acts like he doesn't know what he's fucking doing. Well,
WrestleMania is coming up. It's in a couple weeks. Dynasty is on the horizon, and we have not forgotten our 2006 retrospective. SummerSlam is still yet to be done, but no shortage of wrestling to talk about on the ZNT Wrestling Show, my friends. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Tap that thumbs up as well. That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much for your patience with us as we navigate our real lives as we put these podcasts out. Stay tuned for the next one, guys. Take care.